Andy Jacobs here on Talksport. Well, I think it is Colour Blindness Awareness Day on Sunday, and I've a bit of an issue with it, and not a major one, but I have
to say, I mean, I'll hold my hands up here because I think a couple of years back, Richard Keys was very keen on this, was banging on about it, and I thought, oh, don't be ridiculous and, make stupid jokes about it. But actually, when you read about it and when you see what people see and the way they see it, you realise this is a problem for both spectators, for players. It's really quite, and I think there's an FA initiative, isn't there, to do something about this.
Well, there was, during lockdown, there was a couple of times when you had terrible kit clashes. That was close. There we are, clips of the week. Can you time to get that one in? Anyway, just joining us now to get me out of a very deep hole,
for goodness sake,
is Matt Holland, the former Ireland International Talksport presenter. Good afternoon, Matt.
Afternoon, Paul. Afternoon, Andy.
Hi, Matt.
Yeah, we were talking about this outside the studio the other day, Matt, and I sort of, one day I went into school and they kind of gave you the old health test, and they gave us that book of numbers and letters that are all in sort of coloured circles and squiggles, and I thought they're having me on. I thought, there's no letter or number there. So that's when I realised, and they sent me off somewhere else and discovered I had a slight issue and said I'd never be a fighter pilot, which is probably just as well. But you've had the issue over, when were you sort of first diagnosed with it?
Well, it's not uncommon. 1 in 12 men actually suffer with colour blindness, so it's probably more prolific than most people think. I was a bit the same as you, really. As a youngster, filling in the colouring books, etc., I'd do the sky purple or something, and my mum would look at it and go, "Oh, it's very nice, darling, but it's the wrong colour." and so she took me to the doctors, and he did the same test as you, really, where you have all those sort of different colours, and you're supposed to try and find a number. Couldn't find the numbers, and so was diagnosed with colour blindness at a very young age. Mainly sort of greens and reds, and then the blues and the purples were a problem as well. And so I knew a bit like you at a very early age, but as I say, 1 in 12 men do suffer from it.
Wow. And we were talking outside, as Paul said, and you said it affected you during your career, didn't it?
Well, it did. Not massively, because on the whole, the kits were very different. So, one team might wear white, one team might wear red, and there's a big difference between the two colours. The worst problem I had was actually my very first game for Charlton. It was a pre-season game, and we went down to play Plymouth. They were in dark green, we were in red. We only had a red kit because it was a pre-season friendly. We didn't take two kits with us. And so I found that the kits were so close and I couldn't tell the difference. 5 minutes into the game, I ran to the bench. Alan Kirbysh was actually in the stand, but Mervyn Day was the assistant manager, and I ran to the bench. I said, "Merv, I've got a problem here." I said, "I can't see the difference between the two teams. Because the colours, they look the same." He turned around. I hope you've got your bleep effects ready. He turned around and said to me, "What the have we signed here?" He said, get back out there and get on with it, and we'll talk about it afterwards. So anyway, after the game, we sort of chatted. I said, "Yeah, I've got a problem. I said, colour blindness." And then, sure enough, training then afterwards, when we had, the bibs handed out, they were often orange, red, green, yellow, and I struggled trying to see the colours, really, between the two sets of bibs. It's my excuse for giving the ball away, Paul, really. That's what it is. I mean, it happened too often, but I used to say, "Oh, well, I couldn't see the colours." It was a problem. On the whole, it's pretty good. Even now, actually, sometimes, doing some commentary and stuff, the numbers can be a problem, trying to see them from a distance, on the backs of shirts. But on the whole, it's not too bad.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, that's quite a broad thing of not being able to tell the colours of the kits. But if you're in a game, Matt, you're kind of computing things at the top level in a split second, and you might look up, and it's taking you that little bit longer to work out which team's which, I would imagine, at times.
I think that's a great point. I think it did occasionally, yeah. I mean, certainly in that game, the Charlton Plymouth one that I mentioned, you start then looking for the colour of the socks. The socks might be different, but that split second can make the difference. You're not making a pass that you should make, or getting robbed of the ball, etc. So yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think it's important that the authorities are on this. looking at it, because, as I say, it's not an uncommon problem when a lot of people do suffer with it.
Even the representation I saw, even the pitch looked a bit odd. Didn't look as green as it looks to me, for example.
Well, grass actually does look a bit orange to me.
Yeah.
I say it to my kids and they just laugh at me. But it does. It looks the grass does look orange. Look, it's not bad. I can see colour. I can see reds. I can see greens. Playing snooker actually can be a problem because the brown and the reds look identical. So I'm often having to ask which one's the brown, which one's the red, and when the games are tight, you get told the wrong colour sometimes.
It's interesting, isn't it? I mean, the one thing that you never tired of course, was the minute you said to someone, "Oh, I'm colourblind," there'd be a pause and they'd go, "What colour's that?" And you'd say, "Well, it's a post box. It's red, mate." "What colour's that?" "Well, it's a snooker table. It's green." I mean, it just drives you mad. You get a load of "What colour's that?"
That's true as well, because even doing my cycling proficiency, I remember doing that going back many years, and it's sort of, you know when to stop because the red's at the top, so the traffic lights. You can work it out for yourself sometimes, but it can be a problem.
Yeah.
It's interesting the difference between men and women, though. As you said, Matt, 1 in 12 men, but it's 1 in 200 women, which is it's a big difference.
It is. I think I'm right in saying that it's the female gene that passes it on, though. I think the females generally carry the gene of colour blindness, and they pass it on. But they don't suffer with it as much. So, I think I'm right in saying that anyway.
You come across other players that had the issue as you were playing, teammates over the years?
No, not really. I mean, as I say, most of them just took the mickey out of me, really, about it.
Well, on the basis that 1 in 12, you would have thought anybody beyond the subs, somebody must have had them in a squad. It's weird, isn't it?
Exactly that. I mean, you think the squad of 25 now in the Premier League, there should be at least 2 players in every Premier League team that suffer with it. Obviously, it doesn't always work like that, but there could be 3 in some and 1 in another. But generally, over the course of a squad, you'd expect a couple.
Yeah. Just away from that, I don't know if you caught